I continue to say that there was no inappropriate pressure.
Tonight, Prime Minister Trudeau says an erosion of trust started the SNC-Lavalin controversy, and he's not apologizing.
We don't live in a dictatorship. We are Oklahoma, and Oklahoma live free.
Police raids on a cannabis dispensary in Akwesasne have split the community.
So you got some snow on you. I take it you fell down a couple times?
A lot of times. More times than I've been sliding down a hill, that's for sure.
And getting kids out onto the land with Spirit North.
Good evening, I'm Brittany Hobson. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's not issuing any apologies for his part in the SNC-Lavalin scandal. For the past month, the Liberals have been embroiled in the scandal that has seen two high-profile cabinet ministers quit. First came the former Attorney General. Jody Wilson-Raybould accuses Trudeau and senior members of government of pressuring her to intervene in a criminal case against SNC-Lavalin. Today, Trudeau talked about the controversy and what has been said so far. APTN's Amber Bernard reports.
The Prime Minister started his day early here at the National Press Theatre in Ottawa, talking about the SNC-Lavalin affair, where he admitted that he failed to see fractures forming in his cabinet.
I was not aware of that erosion of trust. As Prime Minister and leader of the federal ministry, I should have been.
Trudeau was also reacting to what his former advisor Gerald Butts told the Justice Committee. Butts, who resigned his job in February, gave a very different version of events than former Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould did a week before at the same committee. She says she was facing political pressure to intervene in a criminal case against Quebec engineering giant SNC-Lavalin. Butts says that's not how he saw it, and Wilson-Raybould told the Justice Committee she lost her job because of it. Trudeau didn't really answer that question.
No, any decision to move a minister or make changes to cabinet has multiple reasons and reflections and motivations. And there were already many decisions that had been made and were in the process of being made that there wasn't any question of moving backwards on.
As expected, the opposition pounced on just about everything Trudeau had to say. The Conservative leader, Andrew Scheer, is still calling for his resignation, and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is calling for a national inquiry. Elizabeth May, who's the leader of the Green Party, was allowed to sit in on the Justice Committee Wednesday, and she says she doesn't like what she saw from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today.
I found the Prime Minister's press conference this morning deeply disturbing. It's clear to me that not only does he not understand the lessons of the what he calls the breakdown of trust with Jody Wilson-Raybould, he fails to understand that she's right.
Trudeau was also asked this morning whether he would be making an apology to anyone involved with the SNC-Lavalin affair.
I will be making an Inuit apology this afternoon, but in regards to standing up for jobs and defending the integrity of our rule of law, I continue to say that there was no inappropriate pressure.
The Justice Committee is now requesting an emergency meeting to take place within the next 5 days so that Jody Wilson-Raybould can testify again. Amber Bernard, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Gerald Butts wasn't the only person before the Justice Committee yesterday. Michael Wernick is the former Deputy Minister of Indian Affairs. He's now clerk of the Privy Council. Last week, Jody Wilson-Raybould told the committee that Wernick was one of several who pressured her to cut a deal for SNC-Lavalin. Yesterday, it was his turn.
I work at the intersection of the public service and the elected officials, and I am present for many discussions that touch on matters that some would see as political. It is my role to be aware of this context, but I do not ever give advice that is partisan in content or motivation.
At one point yesterday, Wernick admitted that a former Privy Council clerk, now chairman of SNC's board, asked him if there was anything that could have been done to help the company avoid a criminal trial. That led to some testy words between Wernick and Deputy Conservative leader Lisa Raitt. Here's part of that exchange.
Not more than 2 weeks ago, when you gave your first testimony about having no contact with SNC, you said nothing about this phone call, and yet today
I was cut off, if you recall, Ms. Raitt. I was proceeding to read the chronology, and I was cut off with it incomplete and undertook to provide the chronology to the committee, which I have done.
Well, thank you for cutting me off, Clerk. But as I was going to say, I think it's incredibly pertinent, and you must have had a knowledge of it because you gave us almost a verbatim right now about what the content of that telephone call is. Can you not see how disturbing this could be for Canadians to see that former clerks who are now chairs of boards of SNC-Lavalin have easy access and immediate access into the central office of this government, into your office, when you turned down everybody else and walked out of a gala because you didn't want to see SNC anymore? Do you not see that as a problem for this country?
No.
Today was supposed to be the day Prime Minister Justin Trudeau apologized to Inuit for their tuberculosis treatment from the 1940s to 1975. In that time, half of the Inuit on Baffin Island were shipped to southern sanatoriums, and many never returned. But as is often the case in Nunavut, the weather played a big role. Our Kent Driscoll joins us from our Iqaluit studio. So Kent, what happened to the apology?
Thanks. And the apology didn't happen today. The Prime Minister's plane was diverted to Goose Bay, and the conditions here got worse, as you can see. He headed back to Ottawa. The city of Calgary has closed down the roads and kept plows off the road, so there'll be no event this evening for the families who have traveled here to receive this apology. Now, I just got off the phone with the Prime Minister's office, and what they tell me is they're going to try and fly in either late this evening or early tomorrow morning, and there could be a feast as early as tomorrow morning with an apology. But, as is often the case here in Nunavut, weather contingent. Back to you in Winnipeg.
And joining us now from Iqaluit is Aluki Kutrik, the president of Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, the group that represents Nunavut Inuit. She joins us from the Frobisher Inn in Iqaluit, where today's apology was supposed to take place. Thanks for joining us today. Let's start with, why is it important to hear an apology from the Prime Minister?
This is an opportunity to hear the Prime Minister apologize to Inuit. Inuit had been asking for it for many years, since the 70s, and Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated asked formally in 2008, 2007, 2008 to receive an apology, and have worked with Inuit regions to get to this point. And it's important that the federal government acknowledge the way in which Inuit have been treated in terms of being sent away from their families and homes and for tuberculosis reasons, and also other sicknesses that Inuit had, but particularly tuberculosis.
Now, there has been a slight delay. So what are you expecting to hear today or tonight?
Actually, the city has just closed because we have a blizzard right now, so we're still on standby. We're expecting that the Prime Minister will arrive sometime later this evening when the weather lifts, I guess. In Inuktitut, we often say, Sila isumatauman. Sila is the boss. And so we know that the apology will take place at some point, and it will take place in exactly the way it's meant to take place, because we cannot control the weather.
And is an apology enough at this point?
I think the apology, and knowing that there will be an apology from the Prime Minister, has already stirred up emotions and memories of people who have experienced losing loved ones to different parts of southern Canada, as well as the experiences that they have had themselves. Last night we had a dinner with some of the honored guests who had direct experience, and we could see that the emotions were already overflowing. So there's a mixture of happiness that there will be an apology, but it also triggers great feelings of grief and sorrow and anger for the way in which Inuit were treated.
Well, and as we talk about the, the past, we're also still dealing with, or you guys are still dealing with this in the future or present. So what about long-range goals for eradicating TB? You're getting an apology, but what more is needed to get rid of this disease entirely?
Yes. So when the Prime Minister comes to apologize, he'll be apologizing for the historical way in which Inuit have been treated and their experience they had with tuberculosis, being sent to tuberculosis sanatoriums. In addition, there will be a launch of Nanilavut, which is the database, so that Inuit here in Nunavut will be able to contact 2 employees within Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated to get additional information about their loved ones. We will ask them to provide numbers such as their e-numbers to be able to help them find any archival material there might be from cemeteries, from sanatoriums, from hospitals. And we're hoping that in that way it will start bringing closure to Inuit. Having said that, right now in 2019, we still suffer from tuberculosis. And I think as Inuit, not only from Nunavut, but across Inuit Nunanga, we're working towards achieving an Inuit tuberculosis action plan. And we're working right here in Nunavut on a regional one that we're hoping to complete by the end of March. We expect that some of the things we'd like to see include the ability to support Inuit in Inuktitut, the first language of the majority public here in Nunavut. In addition, we expect that we will want supports that are culturally appropriate. And of course, we want to address social determinants of health, including housing and food insecurity.
Sorry, that's all the time that we have for today, so I'm going to let it go there, but I thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Time for a quick break. Coming up, tension is growing in the Mohawk community of Akwesasne.
Hello, I'm Todd Lamoran, and here's what's coming up on Nation to Nation. Nope, we're not going to mention the SNC-Lavalin scandal. Instead, we're focusing on a critical piece of legislation which was tabled last week. C-92, the bill that wants to reform how Indigenous children in care are looked after. We'll hear from longtime child and family advocate Cindy Blackstock, as well as from a senior bureaucrat in Indigenous Services who oversaw the effort to draft this bill. She'll tell us the nuts and bolts on what it will do. It's coming up right after the national news.
Here is Friday's weather forecast beginning on the East Coast, -6 in St. John's, a bit of sun and -1 in Fredericton, -17 in Nain, -16 in snow in La Grande River, -7 in Quebec City, -4 in Val d'Or. In Ontario, -1 in Toronto, 0 in London and Sarnia, -5 and sun in Wawa, and -1 in Thunder Bay. In northern Manitoba, -19 in Churchill, -7 in the Pas and Pucktawagan, -4 in Barons River and Princess Harbour, and -6 in sun in Brandon. In Saskatchewan, -3 in Regina, -8 and snow in North Battleford, -7 in Stony Rapids, and sun and -9 in Uranium City.
Welcome back. Police in Ontario today announced they have laid murder charges against 3 men in connection with a 2018 triple homicide near London, Ontario. Back in November 2018, Melissa Miller, Michael Jameson, and Alan Porter were found dead in or near a stolen pickup truck. Miller was 7 months pregnant at the time she was killed. The victims were described as close friends. Police had asked members of the Six Nations First Nation community to come forward with any information.
It brings some sort of resolution to the families. Nothing is going to replace their loss. At least now they know that the people responsible are being brought to justice. And I know there's still other unresolved crimes in this community. And again, I'm reaching out to the community to come forward. There's people out there that know what happened. And we want to know to bring resolution to those families as well.
The Council of Akwesasne has decided to take another path towards settling its issues with cannabis stores in the community. This after 2 police raids split the community. Now, despite the different perspectives on the issue ongoing, efforts are made to encourage a collective solution. Danielle Rochette reports.
This is Indian land. Provincial search warrant. Accus are executed.
2 Akwesasne cannabis dispensaries were raided twice by the Akwesasne Mohawk Police this last February. The last raid on February 22nd ended up with a police vehicle on fire near the St. Lawrence River. The reason of the raids? The dispensaries did not have the license from the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, but were instead licensed by a traditionalist group called the Indian Way Longhouse. Confronted with the frustration and anger from groups of the community, the Mohawk Council and the Grand Chief Abraham Benedict want to take another approach in regards to cannabis regulation.
We have since been in conversations with various representatives of the community to discuss what a more fulsome collective process would look like for the ongoing development of a framework, a regulatory framework for our community to be able to regulate and license the cannabis industry within Akwesasne.
Roger Joke Ganaladio has been sitting on the Men's Council for 13 years within the Indian Way Longhouse. As one of the representatives of the Longhouse, he denounced the interference of Akwesasne Mohawk Police and other non-Mohawk police on the cannabis dispensaries.
2 times they got robbed, 2 times they were set back. But they opened the next day. We don't live in a dictatorship. We are Ogohue. And Ogohue live free.
Ganaladio thinks that things can be turned around in a positive sense.
Communications is the most important thing. And I think by working to come to a peaceful understanding. Because basically, I see that we can do that without having to say he won or we won or they won or, the people's got to win.
He also hopes that the police will collaborate to the ongoing process.
I hope we don't see the aggression of the police again. I really hope that they see that we are working it out and they need to stay out of the business. As we know that tensions get high real quick.
But there's one thing that everybody already agree upon.
We want to create jobs in our community. We want to have small businesses. We want to have an economy that's supporting our community as well as having a collective benefit for everybody. It's just a matter of getting through, the framework, what a framework would look like.
Danielle Rochette, APTN National News, Akwesasne.
Back out west, a Calgary-based energy company has been ordered to suspend its fracking operations at a well linked to Monday's earthquake in central Alberta. The magnitude 4.6 quake jolted thousands of people out of bed early Monday morning. The Alberta Energy Regulator has ordered Vesta Energy to suspend operations at its Sylvan Lake site. It's also ordered the company to submit a report on all seismic activity at the site since January 29th. First Nation youth are beating the winter blues with a little sport and play. More on that after the break.
Here's the rest of Friday's weather forecast, picking back up in northern Alberta. -7 in Fort Chipewyan, -10 in Peace River, -5 and snow in Edmonton and Calgary. In BC, 7 degrees in Tofino and Campbell River, +2 in Smithers and +7 in Prince Rupert. In the Yukon, -7 in Mayo and Beaver Creek and Rock River. In the Northwest Territories, a bit of sun and -4 in Fort Simpson, -5 in Wrigley, -8 and snow in Colville Lake, and -7 in Inuvik. In Nunavut, a chilly -23 in Baker Lake and Chesterfield, -21 in Clyde River, and -17 and snow in Iqaluit.
It's been a long, cold winter in Manitoba, but that hasn't stopped dozens of First Nation kids from enjoying the last bit of snow. A new program designed to get youth outside and active is hitting the province and sliding into success, so to speak.
Ready? Jump up and down. Warm up your feet.
After a quick warm-up, these kids are ready to hit the trails. But it's not as easy as it looks. Falling down is par for the course.
It was going fast. And there's a bunch of people in the way, well, a little bit of people in the way. I like that you can go fast and you can fall. It's just fun.
After months of training, dozens of youth from 4 First Nations are testing their skills in cross-country skiing. In December, Spirit North made its way to Manitoba for the first time. The program started 10 years ago in Alberta by former Olympian Becky Scott, with the aim to show kids the power of sport and play. The program provides equipment and trains locals so they can become instructors.
Our long-term goal in the communities is that they're self-sustaining programs supported by Spirit North where needed, but there's people in the community that are the ones running the program and are the ones that are, mentoring the next generation of young ski leaders.
Nathan Niepenak is an instructor in Black River First Nation. He coaches close to 50 kids, with the youngest being his 5-year-old son, Chase.
Yeah, I do it every lunch hour depending on weather, and then I do after school programs with them in the gym, or they work on their core and do little fun games with them and do skiing after school.
Throughout the morning there's games, races, and of course, more falling.
Lenny, so you got some snow on you. I take it you fell down a couple times?
A lot of times. More times than I've been sliding down a hill, that's for sure.
Spirit North isn't just positive for kids' physical health. Filippo says benefits from the program have extended into the classroom as well.
We've had so many teachers tell us that they see daily changes with their kids. They see their kids, that maybe struggle in school or maybe just can't quite handle sitting in a classroom all day. They get outside, they get to connect with nature, they get to connect with the land, and they're just able to focus more.
But it's not just the kids whose lives are changing for the better.
My favorite part is when the kids come ask me, when's the next time, when's our group next time? So, and then seeing the reactions and their faces, like having fun.
Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Grand Beach Provincial Park.
That was a good time. That's your APTN National News for this Thursday. For much more, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. Stick around for the latest episode of Nation to Nation with Todd Lamarand coming up next. I'm Brittany Hobson. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.